Hi, I'm Sandy Sims for SDS Digital with a short tutorial and demo of the Chord Melisma. This time I'll be discussing the user lists. Within each list, chords or roots can be inserted, changed, removed, or cleared to leave an empty slot. The list limits can also be changed, and low to high points are illustrated graphically. The three types of lists are root note progression list, chord progression list, and CV chord list. The progression lists are stepped through when a pulse is present at either of the root or chord jacks. These progressions are independent of one another, so can be different lengths. Right now, both root, offset, and chord selection are getting analog CV signals. So I will start with modifying the present chord list being used. To access the CV chord list, the sixth quick box labeled CH list is selected. Then the encoder held down for 1 second. The list shows all of the chords presently accessible via CV. The bar to the left indicates low and high limits, so unused chords above or below can remain in the list for later use if desired. Each step of the encoder lands the arrow on a chord or between chords. This is so a chord can be inserted into the list, as I'll do now. Pressing the encoder opens up the main chord list along with some functions. As chords are selected, they can be heard as long as there is a gate pulse. Sorry about the bleaching of the inverted selection, need a better camera. Now I have found a chord to insert, I'll just tap the encoder to put it into the list. Sus4 has been inserted and all the chords after it shifted up one. Now I want the 0-volt CV level to start at the major sevenths, so I simply dial through the list to get to the functions. Then set the low limit by pressing the encoder. Now to exit and save the updated list, just hold the encoder for 1 second. By the way, if the chord list is accidentally enabled, holding the encoder will exit from there without making any changes. Now to test the new CV chord list. Yep, looks like they're all there. The CV chord list starts with a major 7, but now I want the major chord and the minor that follows it back into the CV's range, so I'm entering the chord list again. Now the range starts at 0. Also, I don't like that minor flat 9 chord thingy in there, so I'll take that out using clear so the list doesn't move upward. Now I'll replace it with this one, a minor 9th. I heard it and it sounded good, so it's in like Flynn. Well, okay, maybe not. I guess I'll just delete it. Notice the last chord shifted up? So, one more chord to add. Checking. And done. As you can see, the user lists are quite dynamic and can be readily changed around at any time. Now let's have a look at chord progressions. The list I just edited was nothing to do with the chord progression list. It's a totally different list. Because the two can be switched between by either providing a pulse or an analog CV without any further settings, your palette of chords can be completely different without entering a menu or touching the encoder knob. Each time a pulse is received, the next chord is played, even without the gate input patched. The gate does set the length of notes though, so will probably be used most of the time, but it's just another option. This progression only has 4 active steps, so I'm going to change that by accessing the chord progression list. Select the CHPRG quick box and hold 1 second to enter that list. As you can see, the last 2 chords aren't being included, so I'll change the range to bring them into progression. The change is immediate, as you can hear. There are now 6 chords in the progression. Now I'll patch a CV into the root jack to liven things up a bit. Remember, an analog CV doesn't access the progression list, only pulses. The root progression list is similar, except notes are entered, not chords. So here, the chords are from the chord progression list, and the root notes for them is coming directly from a CV, plus the knob offset. Now I'll patch a pulse from a different source into the root note, so both are sequencing. Here's the root progression list. It looks rather crude at the moment and needs to include octave numbers in the list. I just haven't got around to that yet. So I'll just set the octave range for this root progression to 3 to match the 6 steps in the chord progression 2 to 1. Because the 2 pulse sources are different, coming from 2 semi-synchronized rhythms, some interesting results can be heard. Not your usual sequence for sure. Setting the root progression back to 4 notes will again change the overall sequence. The combination of the gates also not perfectly aligning to the pulse being sent by the 2 rhythm gates makes a pretty varied rhythm too. Now to change the root and chord inputs back to analog CV and open up the spread control. I hope you enjoyed this little demo tutorial on the user lists for the Melisma. I'm Sandy Sims. Remember, keep on patching!